Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. It's Jeff with PicknProsper. If you don't know, I am a part-time reseller. I'm kind of ramping up my operations. I want to actually scale a little bit and build this business to more of a full-time situation. I do have the time. I just want to make sure that I'm available to dedicate my time to that and also cover everything else that needs to be done around the house and with the family and things that are important to me as well. But today I'd like to talk about reselling in general and how, reselling is an interesting business. It's an interesting job. And, you can look at jobs in any way you want. If you have to travel to a job and work 8 to 5, you have your time involved with that. You have your commuting. If you run your own business, obviously you can work on your own schedule and you can set things up that way, which is wonderful. So having the freedom to be able to work at my own schedule, that's obviously the biggest benefit for me right now. But I do want to ramp up my operations, and part of that is uh, it actually kind of evolved when I ended up moving to a new house because I needed the space to be able to grow. And for reselling, you most often, especially like in a situation I'm in where I'm an everything reseller, I sell pretty much anything and everything that I can find that's undervalued. But even if you're selling just one specific niche, you still need to have space and capacity to build an inventory and manage an inventory because it's like I kind of use an analogy like fishing. For example, I like to fish, but the more times I cast out into the water, the better odds I am I'm going to catch a fish, right? And it's the same thing with reselling. It, in my opinion, is adding the more numbers of good quality items that you put out there, the better the odds that you're going to get sales and continually have revenue coming in based from those sales. So my analogy is to have a good inventory, a good stuff, a good inventory, a good amount of inventory that's going to carry you through to consistent daily sales. And then overall, when you're marking up daily sales, your monthly sales are also increasing month over month. And that's how I want to look at scaling my business, is to kind of compare month over month. But with that, I did move recently to a new home, and I've been here about 6 months. I'm coming on 7 months, I believe. And I really needed the space to build the business. And so I was really looking to get into a basement area that was unfinished where I could expand. I had the square footage to do so. This new home is 1,800, almost 1,900 square foot in just the basement alone, which is wonderful for me. My other home, I had about 600 to 700 square foot to work with. I was quickly running out of room, and between just my own personal stuff and my reselling stuff. So this new home gave me the opportunity to really grow and still have plenty of space for my personal stuff, my fitness equipment, and all that good stuff that I use on a daily basis. So what I'd like to do today is walk you through what my business looks like and how I have it set up right now. And granted, it is only 6 months or so into this new operation. So I'm still tweaking and I'm still trying to figure out what's going to work best. But let's take a look at how I have it set up, and hopefully it will help you, give you some ideas on some things that maybe it'll spark some ideas or give you some ideas of things that will help you in your own business on how you want to set yours up. I know I've watched so many different resellers through the years. I've been tracking YouTube, and I've learned so much from the way that they do things, the way that they set up their businesses, and I've learned like little tidbits, bits and pieces of things that I want to try to implement like they did, or things that I found that maybe I could do a little differently or maybe better for me. So I hope that this video helps show you a couple of things or gives you some ideas of things that maybe you can implement in your reselling business. So let's take a look at how I have things set up, and we'll just kind of go over the way that we do our processes. Today I have my son here working with me, and he comes at least once a week and helps me prep everything, cleans things, tests things, and then that way I can quickly list a lot easier. And I don't, it just saves me so much time. So he's here working as well, and we'll just kind of go through and I'll show you what we have and how we do it. Okay, so first off, I'll start off with my actual desk where I work. In my basement, it's a pretty good sized basement. I have my fitness equipment clear over in the corner, but I have a nice area for my fitness equipment, and then I have a little TV area where I have some collectibles and some things that I watch TV. But right here is where everything happens for my reselling. So I do my listing. I also, obviously, I watch YouTube, watch other resellers, and learn from that. I do this on a daily basis. I think it's good to always be learning, always be growing in this business, and finding out what other people are selling and what's not working for them, what is working for them, all those little tweaks and tricks. And so here's where everything starts with my listing and my packaging and everything else from my PC. Okay, so over here we have the area where this is kind of like what I call the intake area. Everything comes in here and is put on the table, and then we go through, look at everything, and this is where it starts getting cleaned and just really kind of starts the processing of it all. And normally when we get a bunch stacked up, all the things go into these boxes and shelves and then come out onto the table, cleaned and prepped and tested. Over here, this is the test bench where everything, especially all the electronics, we'll hook it up into the various power cords I keep here, and video cables. Tested on this TV here, and we have batteries on hand and lots of different remotes. These are obviously a lot of the same ones here, but we'll try to match up the units with the correct remote, test everything. Have some tools here, just a multimeter and a battery tester, and then I like to just keep some various tools in this toolbox, and movies and CDs, music, stuff like that we can test with, and then various cords, and also storage cards for testing cameras, eyeglass stuff for tightening up the eyeglasses, just like little various tools in here that we keep, and extra movies and stuff like that to test with. Over here, I like to just put a lot of small goods in these little cabinets, and just little things. We keep, as I mentioned, I do buy a lot of remotes, and these, I try to sell them, I'll go ahead and list them individually, but if we find a player that matches them, then I'll go ahead and we'll match it up to the player, whatever type of unit it is, and sell it that way. Keep a lot of different cameras in here, just a lot of random little stuff. Over here we have movies, video games, DVDs, VHS movies, and books, stuff like that. Over here, just a lot of the small inventory that it looks a little messy, but I know where everything is, or at least I think I know where everything is. Here's tools and things like that. Just various hard goods and glassware down here where hopefully it won't get broken. This is where the electronics normally go, and we're really low on electronics right now, but VHS players, combo players, speakers, stuff like that. More speakers a little bit over here, I guess. Just some various little hard good things here. A lot of packs, bags, backpacks in these tubs, some sporting goods whenever I get them in there. They usually sell pretty quick, especially this time of year. And then this is where the box graveyard starts. Well, actually over here, there's baseball bats and fishing poles I keep over here. Here's where the boxes all start. And I do repurpose all the boxes I get, almost all of them. Try to reuse them again. I do buy boxes, and when I do buy them, I buy usually some bigger sizes for different things, like for shipping, electronics in, like Blu-ray players, stereos, stuff like that. I buy boxes for if I can't repurpose or find any used boxes. And then over here, here's some other new ones I buy. These are 6x4x4. That's probably my favorite size for all the small stuff. And then again, a lot of just random boxes and styrofoam and stuff like that to pack with. I use these square tubular long boxes for golf clubs, baseball bats, stuff like that. Here's some smaller, same thing. These are like 4x4x4 square, and these I think are 6x4x4 or 6x6, something like that. And then also use these tubes, these long tubes like this, and the end caps for those, for baseball bats, fishing poles, stuff like that. Over here is some more boxes I do buy. These actually are the boxes that I use on my shelves for the inventory. These are 18 by 10 by 8. They fit perfectly on these shelves, and these are just shelves I got at Walmart. But you can see that the boxes fit pretty well on those. And each of these boxes holds about 10 to 15 items, depending on how big or how thick they are. And when it comes to the inventory, you can see that I started off with the tub system, and I used like a general SKU like this, which was women's clothes B. Of course, I had A, B, C, D. And I've been kind of filtering through those and getting rid of the bins and going to a numeric system in the boxes over here. But the women's clothes, men's clothes, I had them all in bins, and then I just dig through the bin. It just took me a little longer to find things. So the number SKU system is much better for me. I can go ahead and pull the number, and I'll show you that in a second. But over here we have baseball hats that I just kind of hung from the ceiling. These are all listed. And then up here we have shoes. These are all the shoes that are listed, and I use the USPS shoe boxes just to stack them there, and then eventually ship them in those boxes if I can ship them priority. But over here you can see the number system and the items are all skewed this way. It's very easy to pull whenever an order comes in. I can just go and pull it out real quick. But that's what I have for the inventory and the spare boxes over here. Over here is where we photo everything, or we start the photoing process. We have a small booth where my son's in right now, and he's taken all the shots of the little small things in that little lighted box. That seems to work really well. We use a table over here too, if anything big that we need to get. Or we use this platform that I built. This is, I built this out of 2x2x2, or 2x2 square lumber, and I use like a wing nut here to hinge this platform, so it can lay flat and it can pick up really any angle. Right now it's just leaning against the wall, but it can come up straight, and I can hang that way or lay it flat and lay stuff that way. Just a really pretty straightforward basic design, but it does work. And I use just a yardstick to measure with on here, and then I built this little shelf here I had that on there to put I can lay my phone in there or anything as I'm working. But just put a blanket, just a fleece, like a Sherpa blanket over the top of that. And this is a insulation board that I got at Home Depot, just laying on top of the frame. And it's very solid. It can hold whatever. And so when I'm working here, I can just put my phone down here as I'm taking pictures and lay stuff on this ledge, and then it just leans against the wall. And then I use these Mount Dog lights right now for the lighting, which seems to work pretty well. Eventually I'll upgrade to some better lights, I think, for that. But when my clothes come in and they're viewed, what I do is we bring them in here into this area, pants, shorts, stuff like that down here. Look at them. I always look at everything really close, and then wash them, do whatever I need to do to make them ready to photo. They get hung up when all the shirts and jackets and things will be hung up here, and then photoed, and then listed at my station over here. And then once they're, of course, listed, I'll put a SKU on them, and I put them in these bags, put them in the boxes, and then I'll go ahead and store them on the shelves. So over here is where, this is actually my shipping station, but this is all of the supplies that I use for shipping. And you can see that I use various different clear bags, poly bags, bubble mailers up here and here. And then I have a bunch of USPS priority. I like to use these Kyvek Kyvex, I think they're called, kind of that plastic paper stuff. And then I use these flat rate bubble mailers, and then I use flat rate envelopes, the legal and the flat rate for various things. I usually ship all my Poshmark stuff through that because that goes normally it goes priority, and those are all free supplies, by the way. You can order those on USPS for free, so definitely do that. Don't use your own supplies when it comes to the priority on Poshmark. Various bubble mailers, I get these at the dollar store. These are really big if I ever need them. And then I have some various sizes of smaller bubble mailers, and same thing here, some smaller ones and medium size. And as far as whenever I do prep the clothes, I list them, I fold them all up nicely. As you saw in this box here, all the clothes get put away in bags. And so what I use is the 10 by 13 Ziploc bags. So that way, hopefully they can be repurposed. And a lot of times if I get a return on clothes, they'll come back in the same bag, which is nice. I'll just reuse it again. But even if the person that buys the unit, the item, then they can reuse the bag too. So, but I do have some self-adhesive bags that I use for some things just to seal them up and before they get shipped as well. But there's the 13 by 10s, and then I use a 12 by 15 Ziploc bag here. And then for the shipping bags themselves, I use 10 by 13 and 12 by 15 on those for the poly bags. I also have a few various bigger sizes if I need to use for the bigger stuff, and a few smaller ones just for small items, and a few clear bags and stuff like that are smaller. You'll notice I have these little toilet paper cardboard rolls. I use these for shipping ties, and I'll take this and I'll roll the tie up on this roll and then seal it in a small bag like this, little small clear bag, and then ship it in a 6x4x4 box. So that's how I ship ties on those little rolls. I'll do a video on that probably by itself. And then for my labels, I use this label range printer, which I got off Amazon. It actually works really well. I haven't had any problems with it at all. And it was a kind of middle of the range, or middle of the road, I should say, price wise. And it's been great for me so far. So fingers crossed on that. Keep some isopropyl alcohol handy, a tape measure here. I use this heat gun to take labels off the repurposed boxes and make sure they look nice and that way you don't want extra labels on them. Also, I use this Funk Away spray for shoes. If they have any odors or anything like that, that'll knock it out. I use these stickers for my electronics, and these stickers do not bend for sports cards when I send those out. I keep a lint roller handy here, and then I have this scale here, the Accutech, that's been really good for me. Haven't had any problems with it. A lot of other resellers tend to use this brand. I have my tape supplies over here, and I do use the eBay branded tape when I get the coupons for my store. I'll buy that, and I use that tape to go over the repurposed boxes to actually hide some of the company logos like Amazon and stuff. I'll just tape over that. I don't know, maybe it's just something I'm a little OCD about, but I like to not have those on there. And so I use that tape for some of that. And then of course some regular clear tape. I use these big heavy shears for cutting boxes and packing materials. I use that saw for cutting tubes, cardboard tubes for length, for shipping various things. I use this fabric shaver for taking pilling off, which this thing works great. I'm really happy with that. Cleans up clothes very nice. If you have any pilling or little imperfections on the clothes, you can clean up. I do keep another lint roller handy here, so when I'm photoing, if I need to pull off some hair on the item, go ahead and roll that off. And then I mounted a tape roll here hard to my bench, so I can just rip off tape quickly, for sealing up packing stuff. And of course another pair of scissors over here to when I need to trim off trim off threads or anything like that on any items before I'm photoing them, or while I'm photoing them, I should say. I keep this, this is a very small, because I'm almost gone on this roll, but I keep my bubble wrap on this. And over here, I don't know if I showed you, but I have a big roll of bubble wrap over there, huge roll. And I also have packing paper over there too as well that I use. I buy that in bulk. The bubble wrap I get off Amazon. It's American Bubble Boy, but it's huge rolls. I get 2 big rolls and they'll last me a long time. And so that one's almost gone, obviously. Now down here I have an assortment of boxes, mostly priority boxes that I use occasionally. Now I ship almost everything USPS Ground Advantage. That works best for me, and it's the most affordable for the person buying the goods. And but when you're using Poshmark, again, you can use some of these other boxes to ship priority. And or if I am shipping priority for whatever reason, like if I needed a flat rate box like this one, I think is a flat rate. No, it's not. It's a 1092. But I have various flat rate boxes, and I also keep the shoe boxes handy for doing shoes and stuff like that. But here is probably my favorite box for most items. This is a 8 by 6 by 4, and I use that for a lot of different things. And then I have my tape guns just hanging here. As I mentioned, both different types of tape. I have another tape measure, another pair of scissors, and then my number SKU. So when I'm listing at my desk, once I'm ready to pack that item, once it's listed, put a SKU on it and put it away. I get these numbers off Amazon. And I think that's about it for this area. Again, I hang up prior to listing, I hang stuff up over here. And this is the area that once my son is done with the hard goods, cleaning, prepping, and photoing, he'll put the items over here for me. And then I can just sit at my desk, grab list. And same thing with clothes. Once I'm done photoing, I hang them here and I grab and list, and then put them away. You can see I have some items here that I need to get to this morning. And he's over here cleaning and prepping still on the items that we're doing this morning. And then I'll be shipping out my items here once I'm done. I have a handful that I need to get done this morning. And let's see, one other thing down here. These are some more shipping supplies that I do get with my store coupon. These are bubble mailers I didn't show, but I get them in bulk, so that way they last for a long time. And I think that's about it for the tour of the area we have down here. That was the basic idea of how I'm running things right now. It's only been, as I said, a matter of months since I've been in this house, so we've come a long way in a short time. I plan on, continuing to tweak things, move things around, make things the most efficient as I can. But I wanted a good flow of how things come in and go out. And it's not bad the way I have it now. It'll be tweaked some more, but it works for me right now. And as I mentioned, my son comes he's back there hard at work, but he comes in every week for me to get through all the hard goods. And if you saw my last video, we did end up getting, I don't know, almost 60 items at the Goodwill bins, which is where we like to get a lot of inventory. So he's working his way through all that from last week, and I'll be listing all that. I finally got through all the stuff we got the week before listing, and I'm just picking away at my clothes, trying to get all those. I need to get more summer stuff listed here quickly because we're right around the corner to that kind of weather. But back to the whole idea or point of the video is, reselling is it's not easy in the sense of you have to be able to have space to work with in most instances, depending on what it is you're selling. You have to have space. You have to have a means to have, the equipment, the materials to ship things. But what I found is as I started growing and started working at it, it just came more easy for me. And the shipping is it's a big deal for a lot of people. It's scary at first. A lot of people get intimidated by the shipping. Now I don't. I just seem to kind of enjoy the shipping part. It doesn't bother me. Matter of fact, the way I do my listings is I do flat rate shipping on really everything I sell, and then I'm gotten pretty good at estimating what it's going to cost. So I do the flat rates. There's times where I make money on my shipping, and there's times where I might lose a little bit of money. But overall, I make money overall, and that's good because it helps me cover my supply cost. You know, to pay for the different bags, boxes, whatever it is I am buying. So again, for you to start a business, this gives you an idea of someone like me that's kind of midway into this journey, of putting this business together, and having some space to grow in, to build the business as big as you want it to build. Now, some people that I know and watch on YouTube, they've started out in the same thing, in a closet or in a room, and then they went to the garage, and they ran out of room there, and then they went to storage units, and and eventually ran out of room there. Now, that's why I went to this space where I have a good 1,000 square feet or whatever to work with to grow, and I have plenty of opportunity to build this business from this amount of space. That's going to help me on the years ahead of me. But it's a big consideration when you're doing this kind of job, is to make sure that you do have the space you need to be able to grow and to be able to keep an inventory and manage an inventory accurately. Speaking of inventory, I didn't mention, but I do use Nifty, which was formerly Auto Posher. And with Nifty, that's what manages all this inventory for me. Is every time I make a sale, it'll take it. I only At this point I only use eBay and Poshmark, but it will delist on one or the other. So it takes care of that for me, and I've never had issues of double selling or having issues with that. So I do highly recommend Nifty. I do have a link in the description if you'd like to check it out, and I think I get a small percentage of the enrollment on that if you do decide to do that. But I'm not doing it for that. I'm not talking about it for that point. I'm talking about it because it is a great system and it's very user friendly, which I need that kind of stuff. But overall, just to understand how to run a business like this. This gives you an idea of someone like me that's just starting out midway into it. I consider myself getting more at the intermediate level with this kind of thing. I'm getting better every day when I go out shopping, finding things, knowing what to get, what not to get. I've learned a ton, and that's unfortunately there's a learning curve to it all. But when you get past that point and you start growing, you start realizing steady income that's coming in from reselling, like I've seen for quite a while now. It is a nice lucrative way for you to spend your time and build towards that type of, I guess, independence or financial freedom that you're looking for, especially running your own business. No matter what it is you do for a living, there's always going to be challenges, there's always going to be disappointments, and there's always going to be things that you're not happy with. But you have to look at it as a whole and decide what is best for you when you're doing a job or whether you're running a business. And for me, this is a great fit. And I hope that this type of stuff, and even the encouragement that I'm going to try to give you today, helps you to step out and to maybe venture into this yourself. But anyway, that's my operation, and I'm happy to share it with you and show you how I've come. And I'm hoping in the next year from now, I can do another video to show my operation and how it's grown. And that's my plan: is scale, scale, scale. And I may be not going by the part-time status. I may be talking about more full-time status. But when you retire or anytime you're in a venture like this, you have to utilize your time efficiently. And if I have the time to do it and put into it, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to scale. So thanks for sticking with me. I hope this was helpful. Add any questions or comments, and I'd be happy to follow up with you. In the meantime, appreciate you staying to the end, and we'll catch you on the next video, which should be coming up here shortly. Have a great day.